Okay, so we're on Daf Chafal from the base. Is that true?
It makes sense.
Chafal from the base. So yesterday I had said I should sleep well, and even though we didn't get into the sugya, for sure it's going to come out that when a husband if you open the door, so it goes from here on in, not retroactively, right? Everyone knows that. But it's not simple at all. I was very flabbergasted that it's not simple. Everybody knows that, right? That when Torah Sodom goes retroactively, when the Chacham was
That's what he
matter,
said. I thought.
and a Torah Sodom is from here on in. Right?
Yeah,
Everybody knows that from trading, right? So this is the sugya, and it's not so simple. So I'm very, very surprised. So how do we have over here? Let's go back. The Gemara started on Chafal Pamid Beis. That's what the Gemara's question was. This is the Chafal Pamid Beis, and the Gemara question yesterday, Val Mekar Akar Doma Megas guys, which the Machlok is about it, but most Rishonim learned that the question is if when a husband nullifies his wife's net, they want father to the daughter, the same thing. Does he do it retroactively, or does it only go from here on in? And the Gemara said Nafina would be if somebody was matfis in this woman's neder, she made a neder like Nazir ben Nazir, and then someone else said me too, and then the husband of the first one nullified her neder. If you say that it's nullified retroactively, so then the other woman also is mutter because it comes out that there was never neder and the first woman, so the second woman is matfis onto a nothing. But if you say Megas guys, that means only from here on in the husband nullifies his wife's neder. But the second woman who had said I'm going to be like you at the time that she said so, it was she wasn't there. They just got taken off later on. So then the chavita would still be asa. That was the most question. Yesterday we did two. I think only two yesterday. Yeah, we did two rallies yesterday.
Right.
So the first one was let's go. I don't have too much to do today because I got stuck. So we're not gonna do the full hour today. So just a little time to be relaxed about yesterday's rise. The Gemara brought two rice yesterday. One was from the Mishnah that says that if the husband said me too, the woman said I'm a Nazira, and the husband said me too, he can't be made for anymore. First, the Gemara thought the reason is because he can't even indirectly undo his own neder. So that means that by saying if he's going to be made, he'll be undoing his neder. If you say make his guy, he won't be undoing his own neder because even if he's going to undo his wife's neder from here on in, but it was neder as long as that he said vani. The Gemara's matche could be because it's an affirmation, not because of this lomdus that the Gemara thought, but it's because he affirmed it, so he can't nullify it anymore. So that's not a raya. The Gemara wanted to be just point out. The Gemara wanted to be a raya that it goes retroactively. Maybe I should just highlight that what the Gemara thought. The Gemara thought Elulav Shvamina Meku Aka, and the Gemara refuted it, not approved. But the Gemara thought that's a right that it goes off retroactively. The next right we saw yesterday was if a woman made herself a Nazira and she even designated the animals that she's supposed to bring, and then the husband nullified it. So what do you do with the animals? It says if it's his animals, she had no right to designate it, so it's nothing. It's moving. But if it's her own animals, the chatos is let to die, and that means that it means that it's holy. It's a holy chatos. And if you say once again, here's the opposite. Here the Gemara thought. Now once again, here the Gemara thought that it's going to be. The Gemara thinks that Shma Minam Baal Megas Gaias. The Gemara thought that it must be that it's only nullified from here on in. So when she made the designation of the animal, it was a good designation. If you say that it's nullified retroactively, so then it also should have been a chulin. That was the Gemara's thought. Here's the opposite. The first raya, the Gemara thought would prove make okay that goes retroactively. The second proof, the Gemara thought the opposite, that it only goes mikano laba. Here too, the Gemara rejects the proof. It could be that really it goes back to Mafreya, that she wasn't in a zero at all, and the carbon really is nothing. But according to the Gesha, we said that since she did bad to become a Nazir because that she's abstaining from something, so from wine, so therefore she really should bring a korban chatas, even though it's not a real korban chatas because he nullified it. But we're going to treat it as if it is a korban chatas, and therefore we're going to say that the animal should die as if it would be a korban chatas, even though it's not a korban chatas. That's as far as we got yesterday. We had one proof either way, and either one was rejected, so we don't know. So we're back to the question again: when a husband nullifies his wife's neder, does it go retroactively or does it go mikana lava? So here we're ready to go further. Here it is, Tashma. The bottom of follow from the base. Isha shanad Rabbi Nazir. Maybe we'll see both of the. It's a whole Mishnah later on in a page. This tomorrow's daf. So I just highlighted the whole Mishnah. It's the Gemara brings the continuation of the Mishnah towards the bottom of the page. So that's to be the Mishnah. It says a woman that made herself a Nazira and she was drinking wine, but you're not allowed to. I mean, Kamal Mason, you're not allowed to. So she's Chayv Malkus. This goes without saying. Of course, she's a regular Nazira. What's the difference? So
there's nothing with the husband.
Nothing with the husband. Nothing happened yet. It's a regular Nazir, regular Nazira. Nothing happened yet. The Mishnah continues. If you skip about 5 lines, hey for Lavala. I'm just reading the bottom of the page where it continues the Mishnah. We could also turn to page Daf Chav Gimel, but we're right here. So the Mishnah reads the rest of the Mishnah. Hey for Lavala. If the husband did nullify her neder and she's not a Nazira, she made herself a Nazira. The husband nullified, but she didn't know the husband nullified it. And she was drinking wine and become Tamil Mason. So really, she didn't do anything wrong because she's not a Nazira. The husband nullified it, but she didn't know. So she thought she's doing an Avera, but she didn't really do an Avera.
She thought she was doing an Avera, but she didn't know she wasn't. Then she doesn't get the.
Even though she thought she's doing an Avera, but the Ma'aseh says she wasn't. That's the Mishnah. It continues.
Go together.
This is the whole Mishnah. This is the Mishnah. The Reish and the Sefer. And the Mishnah continues over there that Rabbi Yehuda says that even though she is not Chayv Malkus, but she's Chayv Malkus Mardis because she thought she's doing an Avera. So there's like a rabbinic kind of lashes. So it's not again. Not about wants to being arrived from here that when the husband nullifies the neder, is it retroactively or is it only from now on? What's the case of the Reisha? Just the Reisha alone. It says that the woman made herself a Nazira and she's drinking wine. She's Chayv Malkus. What's the case? The husband was not Mefer. If the case is that the husband was not Mefer, you have to say it. That's a regular case. Like Moshe said, it's a regular case. She became a Nazira and she's drinking wine. Of course, she's Chayv Malkus. It must be El Pshita the Hefel Baal. It must mean that even though the Baal nullified it, still she's Chayv Malkus for what she drank. She drank, what's the case? She made herself a Nazira, she drank wine, and then the husband nullified it.
Oh, so it's only from now on.
Right.
She's going to get Malkus for
what she did. Right.
So
And that's what then she's telling you a Chiddush. If the husband didn't nullify it even afterwards, no Chiddush. But here, the husband can nullify it even after the husband thought that will nullify it now. But the Mishnah says no, that he's still Chayv Malkus because even though he nullified, it's only from now on. It doesn't take it back retroactively. Must be that the husband was El Pshita
we're bringing it as a raya.
Being a raya, that it's what? That is from now on. Vegas guys, right?
Guys.
And we'll highlight that again just to show, to show what we're doing over here. Shramila, Baal Vegas guys. The Gemara thinks.
Oh, is that the way this?
That Vegas guys that is cutting off from here on in. Isaac, just to go back again. Isaac the Baal Maker. Okay, if you uprooted it retroactively, and myself Vegas said, well, she should be Chayv Malkus, even though at the time that she drank the wine, she thought it was a Nazira, but then later on, retroactively it goes off. So it comes out that when she drank it, she was not in the zero. If that's found in the Mishnah doesn't say so. The Mishnah says she's Chayv Malkus, but that wouldn't be a Chiddush. It must be that the Chiddush is even if the husband was Mefer, it doesn't go retroactively. Isn't that a proof that it goes only from now on? And the Gemara's Matcha the proof. I could tell you the husband really does it retroactively. And in the case where he was Mefer, she would not be Chayv Malkus, because he took it off retroactively. So why does the Mishnah say something? And here's talking about that the husband was not the Mefer. The Reisha here that says she's Chayv Malkus is only if the husband did not nullify the neder. So it's Pshita. But it was there's no Chiddush over here. The Mishnah continues. Therefore, Tananami Reisha Safegas Enachnami. It's just a lead up. The Reisha is no Chiddush. You could say that the Reisha is that he was not Mefer. If he would have been Mefer, then it would have gone off retroactively, and she wouldn't have been Chayv Malkus. The case is that he was not Mefer, so there's no Chiddush in the Reisha. You're right, there's no Chiddush. He just wants to lead up to the Sefer. The Sefer says that if he's Mefer, if she's Mefer, so then excuse me. If she's Mefer,
Yeah,
So then, if he's Mefer, so then she's not Chayiv Malkus.
from the beginning. Enus Vegas Arba'im means that it goes from the beginning, Me'ikara.
Now, it doesn't say that. The Mishnah says that she drank
Me'ikara.
after,
It doesn't say when she drank, it just says she drank.
it says that he was Mefer and she didn't know. It means that she drank after he was Mefer,
Uh-huh.
which is not such a big chiddush. It should have been a big chiddush that even if she drank mamish and then he was Mefer, but we want to say now that it goes retroactively. So the Gemara is just saying that the Reisha is Takab Shita, it's just a lead up into the next case.
So we don't know, so we still don't.
So we still don't know. The Gemara is Matcha, but how is the Gemara being Matcha? They're saying that really it goes retroactively,
But
and the
here-
Reisha is Pshita, and this is a chiddush.
So
But
when,
if you read it, yes,
when it says Leolam Ema, it means it's not a proof.
right. I can really tell you that it really goes retroactively, and the Reisha is talking about that he was not Mefer because it wouldn't be Chayiv Malchus. And the case is that he was not Mefer, so there's no chiddush in the Reisha. You're right. There's no chiddush in the Reisha. It only says it because one's reading on the Sefer. It's a lead up. Say the Sefer. A regular case of what was Chayiv Malchus, but if the husband was Mefer, she's not Chayiv Malchus. But if you read the words, it doesn't say that. The verse in the Sefer says that she didn't know and she kept on drinking, and she didn't know when she drank. That means she was drinking after the husband was Mefer. Isn't that what it says? What does the Mishnah say? The husband was Mefer, and she didn't know he was Mefer, and she
And
was
she drank.
drinking. So she's very guilty
Oh, so it
because
doesn't show that it went to the beginning.
right.
It doesn't say the Chiddush, but it doesn't say.
Right, it doesn't say the chiddush, but it does not say the chiddush. She could have said a much bigger chiddush. The truth is that it came out.
It could have said Haisa Shota.
It doesn't. They leave out these words. Hefer labala.
Hefer Labal. Could have put Hefer Labar.
And the Sefega says that wrong. Take out all these words.
Oh, just take them all out.
Yeah, I would like that if the truth is that it really goes retroactively, so just say Hefer labala. Take it all out. That wouldn't it be a nice Mishnah? The woman made herself a Nazir, and she was drinking wine. She's Chayiv Malchus. If the husband was Mefer, she's not Chayiv Malchus. That's what I should have said. According to what the Gemara is saying retroactively, the Mishnah is very difficult. That it says a case where she didn't know, and that's why she drank. That's why she's not Chayiv Malchus. That means she drank after the husband was Mefer. She just didn't know. That's a small chiddush. But if you're saying the truth is that even if she knew and she was terrible, and the husband now comes as Mefer, then it goes off retroactively. That's what I should have said. The Mishnah, the Gemara seems to be very hard to be able to say that really it goes retroactively, and you can read the Mishnah anyway. So Taisa has this kasha that the Gemara doesn't seem to. How could you say such a thing? Taisa says a pshat because the Mishnah continues over there that the Buddha says that she's chayiv makas mardas, she's chayiv rabbinical ashes, and that's a big chiddush in this case. That even though the Ma'aseh she didn't do anything, in the case where she drank when she was mamash in the zira, then the husband took it off retroactively. So yeah, for sure she's chayiv makas mardas because she really did terrible when she drank it. She didn't. It wasn't yet off retroactively. Later it became retroactive. There Buddha says she's chayiv makas mardas, but in this case where he drank after the husband was made, if she just didn't know about it, you might have thought that Buddha's not going to say makas mardas, even this case. But that's a tosfos to answer the kasha. Like the Gemara alone would be very difficult. But the Gemara is again saying not a right, not a proof. It could be that it goes retroactively. So just to sum up what we have so far, we have. I'll take off this red because. Okay. So the Gemara brought so far. What do we have here? This was the third raya. We had so far the Gemara. Yeah, the third time. The first Gemara was bring a raya that it goes retroactively. Then we had two rayas that is going Mikano Lava, and all the rayas the Gemara knocked off. We still don't know. So when a husband nullifies his wife's neder, does it go retroactively or from now on? The Gemara still doesn't know. And now we're up to the top of the second page, top of Daf Chaf Gimel. I'm sorry? Oh, Chaf Beis. Thank you. Chaf Beis. So now up to the fourth raya, Tashma. And this we had already before a couple of pages ago. And we had the whole Gemara. Come out the whole one we had already before. Tashma, Ha'isha Shenadru ben Nazir, Benitmes. A woman that made herself into a Nazira, and she became Tamei. What are the kabbanas of a Tamei Nazir? Two birds, a chatas and a
Two
ola,
birds and a kevis.
and a keves la'ashem. So here she became Tamei, so she's ready to bring her kabbanas, and then the husband was Mefer. So does she? What does she do about her tumah? Does she have to bring kabbanas for the tumah that she was? She was an.
You would think so.
You would think so? Why
Oh,
would you think so?
Oh, because I'm going from now on.
because you're saying from now on, but there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
time
Oh, I
to say
see.
that it goes
Depends.
retroactively.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Levi Yaakov was saying it depends. If you say that it goes retroactively, no karbanos. If you say that it goes from now on, then it should be all the karbanos.
Yeah,
And what does it say here? Mevia chatasof and mevia olasof. So what's that? One yes and one not. So we didn't
how come it
understand.
doesn't talk about the asham?
It doesn't talk about the asham.
And can you explain to me what's the difference between an asham and chatas? Like, who brings a chatas and who brings an asham regularly?
Usually a karban,
Chatas means shogeg, right?
yeah.
And what is asham?
Yeah, the Elohim Hashamos, right? It says in the Kabbanis in the morning, those who say Kabbanis,
Oh, asham gazela,
Hashem Zelo, Hashem Mila,
almost the
Hashem
six
Shifra
things.
Harufa, Hashem Nazir, Hashem Mitzvah, Hashem Torah. So
Oh,
certain
so
affairs
asham
is called
not-
Hashem.
oh, which-
Whereby now
it's the
Hashem is
name. It's just a
a
name.
different kind,
asham.
it's different kind of a carbon altogether,
A
different
kind
kind
of
of
a
carbon, a different way of doing it, different animal, different,
But it's not a different animal. It's a kevis.
usually Hashem is a ayil. In this case happens a Nazir, by Nazir and a Masorah, it's a kevis. And a Chatas is usually in a keva. Chatas is a kivso, a seira, a female sheep or a female
And here it's an oath.
here.
It's an
No.
oath. This chatas is an oath. Oath chatas.
Oh, you're talking about the Asham. Yes, you want to know the difference between a Chatas and a Asham. Chatas is usually
Oh, a regular
kevis,
chatas
right.
is not a kevis,
is a kivsa or seira,
but for the
female.
Nazir,
And by the Nazir, it's going to be a male kevis.
it's going to be a male, and the female is going to be the second one.
And no, there's no. There's
Yeah,
only
there is, it's an old
okay.
one.
That's we have to get the psukim
Okay.
over there. But here where Mamish
Well, Kivsa,
listed
no, Kivsa is the chatas. I'm sorry, it's female.
when
For the Nazir, when he's through with his Naziris, he brings a
in a regular
kivsa
context.
chatas, regular chatas. Okay, yeah, I was thinking.
So here we're talking about the very strange thing that what is it? If the woman
She
became a
brings the
Nazira
oath.
to man, she was Tameh, and then the husband nullified it. So you bring one carbon yes, one carbon not.
Yes,
This
that's
chatas
right.
doesn't make
One way
sense.
or the other.
So one without it. So the more takes one way, which anyway is not going to be clear. The Sakadaitach Bal Megas Gaias, Taisinami Olosov, if it only goes off from here on,
Right, should be
so
done.
then do both karbanas.
Right.
So the Gemara goes back, and what if you're happy that it goes retroactively? Velamai Merker Akar, Chatasof Nami Lo Taisi. If you say that it goes back retroactively, she shouldn't bring any karbanas, and here you say she does bring the chatas. What's that all about? Hachinami, you're right. They really should not bring the chatas off either. The Gemara here is taking the raya to say
Oh, that it goes back.
that it goes back. It goes retroactively.
Right, so you shouldn't be getting.
Shouldn't be any kabbanas. Why do you bring a chatas off? I can explain that. The Hamani of Allah Zakapa, this is of Allah Zakapa that says that it's an avera to be a Nazir. It's not a bad, it's a bad thing. You need a chatas because you became a Nazir because you're abstaining, you shouldn't abstain.
Right.
And therefore, even though it goes off retroactively, but the fact that you wanted to abstain, that still needs a atonement. Even though it was a fake out, that Lamaisa, once the husband nullifies it, it goes back retroactively. She was not a Nazir, but she abstained. She wanted to abstain, she did abstain. So we look at it as a chatas, as if it's a chatas, even though it's not really a chatas. Very
But
similar
it
to
is-
what we have.
We're saying that it is a mekar.
Right, it is Meikara. And let's just highlight this, that this Gemara is trying to say that it's Mecca Akar. And not only trying, here the Gemara says Mecca Akar. The Gemara is saying if you go Mega's guy is if it's nullified from now on, then she should bring the Ola Sof also. Because at the time she was in a zero Tameya, the husband just nullified it from here on. But I could explain the other way. I could explain that if you hold Meker Akar, really it's uprooted retroactively, and you shouldn't bring any karbanas, but bring the Chatas Sof, not Mamish there, it's not really a korban, but bring it in a way that there won't be any Aver of Kulam Bazara, which L'chora means that you just put the blood on the Mizbeach and you don't eat it, because it's not real, it's really not a korban. But act with it as if it's a korban, and the reason why she should do it, even though it's off retroactively, is because Abullah Zakapa says, why is it considered a sin? What sin did he do? Because he abstained from wine. And he goes on to, it's not our subject now, that a person should not abstain. A person who only abstained from wine is called a sinner. If somebody abstains from everything, he fasts and afflicts himself, surely that's an avera. So what is the Gemara saying? That I could explain the brisa, this halacha that the woman does mean the chatasof. I could explain if you hold mekirakar, because even though really it's uprooted retroactively, but still bring the chatas because you did something bad. So act as if it's a chatas, even though it's not real. But if you say that it goes off from now on, then I can't explain why she should not bring the Ola Sof. She was a Mamasha Nazir Tameya, and even though it got taken off, it only got taken off in Kana Lava, but she wasn't a Zira Tameya, so you should bring Ola Sof. So here the Gemara brings a proof that it goes off retroactively.
Where he's called a Chotet, that's the end of that verse.
Till Achas Kama V'Kama. The price is over by the first white line before Tashma.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, till this first white line, Alachas Kama V'Kama. So this was quoted before. We had it a couple of pages ago, that few tests, and here Gemara says it again. So yesterday I said that everyone wanted to sleep well. That sounded, so I said that the Gemara is going to come out, make his guys. We didn't finish the Gemara yet, but at this point, the Gemara brings a proof that Merka Akar. And doesn't everybody know? Doesn't everybody know that the husband takes off to the dorm from Yikana Lava? Doesn't everybody know that? That a Torah dorm goes retroactively, and a forest dorm goes Yikana Lava. And here the Gemara says that it goes retroactively. And now one more Gemara, Tashma, first white line. So we're now in the fifth raya. 3 rayas were off. 3 rayas we tried. That didn't work. This fourth raya did work. The Gemara brought a raya that make that it goes retroactively. Now Gemara brings a 5th raya, and this raya is going to say that Megas Gaius. There's going to be a last raya is going to say that it does go Mikana Lava. Tashma, the Tanya Behedia, Perish Brisa. Now the Gemara didn't say a Perish Brisa on the case before, but this is going to be a Perish Brisa. What's a Perish? Because it wasn't so Perish before. It was a Cheshbon, how to say why Chata Sof yes, all the Sof not. But here the Gemara holds it a Perish Brisa. Aisha Shinodra Benazir. This is called the Ferish Brisa because this was what the Gemara said right away. As soon as we presented the question, we said this is going to be the Nafkamina. What's the Nafkamina if it goes off retroactively or from now on? A woman made herself on the zero, and her friend said, me too. And then the husband of the first one nullified his wife's nether. So the first one is mutter because the husband nullified the nether, but the second one is usher. Why is the second one usher? It must be that it's only taken off in the first one, Mikana Lava. So at the time that the friend said me too, it was a real me too, because the first one was really in a zero. But if you say that the first one is nullified retroactively, so it comes out that when she said me too, she's saying me too to a nobody, because the first one was not really in a zero retroactively. So what do you do with this Gemara? The Gemara before Bodabai Mekov, and this Gemara says Megas guys. What's the answer?
Maybe something you never know is a copper.
According to Belezer Kappa, no, but according to Belezer Kappa, it's true.
Yeah,
So it's not, but it's not dependent on that. It means otherwise, but the Bryce of Lamaisa in the Lumdis, they happen to have enough community. If you hold that it's a chote, is it called abstinence is a bad thing. But in the so this Bryce happens to look at Belezer Kappa. But if it says not to bring a ola sof, that shows that it goes retroactively. And that thing, there's no reason to make Malchokas of Belezer Kappa than anybody else. The Bryce before said that you don't bring the ola sof. Why not? If it goes Mikana Labo, you should bring the ola sof. I'm sorry, did I say it right? If you hold Megas guys, you should bring the ola sof also. Yeah.
It should be a real. It's a real.
It was a real Nazir Tameya. So the Bryce.
Real lashes.
No lashes over here.
We're talking about.
Talk about this Bryce that talks about
Chattas.
right. And
It's a real Chattas,
this Bryce
not a
before said it should have been a real ola also. How come the Bryce says don't bring ola sof? You should bring ola sof if it's only Mikana Labo. So this Bryce before the Chorus Muchach that it goes retroactively. And we had a shot why the Bryce says bring the Chattas also. And this Bryce says beferish l'chora that Megas guys that it goes from Mikana Labo. So some say that it's Taka Machokis Tanon. That even though the Gemara says at the end Tanya Behedia, this is the Tanya Behedia because it's our case. The nafkamina of our case. If somebody else latched on to the first one's disease.
It means an answer to our shiloh.
Yes, but and the first one is also an answer to our shiloh.
Yeah.
I mean, the nafkamina case maybe, but it comes out there's 2 Bryces that are arguing. If there is a machlokus between these 2 Bryces, it comes out. This Bryce holds that it goes retroactively. This Bryce holds that it goes from now on. So I don't know where I know it from. Everybody knows that the first of them goes Mikana Lava.
Rebbe put this together, right?
Rebbe put together what?
The
Ravina and Ravashi.
Ravina and Ravashi. So they put this Tashma last
Yes, but they
to
bought the one
imply
before
that
also.
that's the halacha.
I don't know.
What we know is by regular Justin Dor. Maybe those are.
No, it's not. It's not after. The Gemara doesn't make a difference. The whole question is about. I'll make it. Okay, I don't
That's why he
know.
was the shot in the very beginning.
What do you
First Nadorim.
That's how he was the shot in the very beginning. Because I know that everybody knows that Justin Dor.
A forest Nadorim is, and so I looked in Art Scrolls introduction to Maseches Nadorim. So where does everybody? They have Art introduction. They say all the and a forest Nadorim is Mikana Lava. Nazir 22a.
22A.
That's us. That's us. This is the source. Everybody,
22A is.
that's
also
us. That's
proof
our
that
Gemara.
it's-
That it goes from Kana Labra. So it says both.
That's
They
right.
just-
Why did they, so then
they
why
just
did they
read the
go with
second
the
Gemara.
last one?
But what everybody knows is not so simple. It could be the Gemara does say Tanya Behedi or something, and or the Rishonim also talk about maybe we could be Matcha the first Raya. That means the Raya on top. Maybe there's a way to explain the Brisa differently, different than the Gemara says. But it is fascinating. I thought this was like, how do you call it? The Nedarim 101. That this is the Aleph phase of the Nedarim, that a Torah Nedarim goes retroactively, and the first Nedarim goes become Labba. But it's not so simple. It's not so simple. And it might be more focused on.
Yeah.
Okay. We're still in the middle of the Gemara, but the Sugya seems to be finished already, made more or less. The Brisa continues. I put in parentheses in the bottom line. Rav Shimon Omer, Im Amr lo hareini kimosich, shtei mutaros. Even though the Brisa says that when the husband of the first woman nullifies his wife's neder, the second one is aser, and the Gemara is what?
When she says Vani.
When she says Vani, again, the first one said I'm a Nazira, the second one said me too. The husband of the first one nullified his wife's neder, and the second one is still a Nazira. And the Gemara explained the reason is because the husband only took off his wife's neder from now on. But at the time that the friend said me too, it was she was a Nazira. So therefore, she latched on to a real Nazira, even though she got out of it, but it's not retroactive. Rav Shimon says, if the friend didn't say Vani, the friend said, I'm like you. I'm like you, Rav Shimon says means I'm like you. Not only if you are, I am. If you're not, I'm not. And if you're gonna go off, no matter how you're gonna go off, I mean, I'm only making myself a Nazira if you're gonna end up being a Nazira. And if you're not gonna be a Nazira, I'm not gonna be a Nazira. So then he'll stay with Taurus. Tanakama seems to argue and says still that Hareni Kamosa still doesn't mean only whatever you're gonna be. You said I'm a Nazira, I'm doing the same thing, and I'm not only dependent on you. So that seems to be machlok. Because Tanakama doesn't hold of this difference, and Rav Shimon also seems to say Bani means me too. I'm accepting the Nazira such like you did, and not after if you're going to be. He also agrees Bani, but if you say Bani Chameni Kamosich, that sounds like only if you're actually going to be a Nazira, then I'll be also. If for any reason it's going to go off, so then not.
Well, is this part of the Brisa?
It's part of the Brisa, and
I didn't understand. It's part of the Brisa.
right. The reason why I didn't think it's very good. The reason I didn't think so is because the Gemara stuck in Shema Mina Bal Megas guys. That's Gemara talk in the middle. So you didn't see that. So the Bach Taka changes it around and says the Shema Mina after.
I see.
So it's nicer the way you're doing it. That we don't need Rav Shimon over here. We don't need Rav Shimon. It's not relevant to us, but the Gemara brought it because it's part of the Brisa. But the Shema Mina is from the Tanakama, and Rav Shimon also agrees to the Tanakama that if you said Vani, that the second one is Aser. Why is the second one Aser? Because the first one was only nullified from here on in, not retroactively. We turn the page and we're up to Chavbeis and Beis. Now, there's a big question. There's a big question I learned is Gemara now. So I'll try to keep it simple, on my head at least. That the Gemara now it will be finished. We finished the sugya that Megas guy is. We finished the sugya. The Rishonim have two ways how to learn the Gemara coming up. We're just going to go today till the two dots here, about 10 lines, not going to go further. So what did the Gemara mean? What is the Gemara going to do now? It seems to be a new question. We're going to make his guys. Let's take it as a given that this Bryce holds make his guys, the way the Gemara seemed to bring a proof. The fact that just to get Chaim David came in and said us to bring on to the table, that Bryce said, this case over here, the yellow case, that if a woman said, I'm a Nazira, and somebody else, a friend said, me too, and then the husband of the first woman nullified his wife's neder, the second one is still Asa. And why is that? Because even though the husband nullified his wife's neder, it doesn't go retroactive. If it would have gone retroactive, the second one, she never said, I'm me too on nothing. But now, if you say that the husband nullified his wife's neder only from now on, so when the neighbor had said, me too, it did take effect because the woman wasn't Nazir at that time. It just started taking off from further on. So that's a proof that you say make his guys. You have a proof that when the husband nullifies his wife's neder, it's only from here on in and not retroactively. Now the Gemara continues. And the Gemara is happy with that proof. It's a good proof that make his guys. Now the Gemara number Beis is talking about wants to go into another subject. Even if we'll agree to you, make his guys. Marzutra Marzutra, the son of Rav Mari, said that this case that we just finished talking about is the issue of Rami Rachama. What's Rami Bar Chama's issue?
I'm sorry, hi, you knew.
Hi, this
law.
law that we just finished learning is the issue of Rami Bar Chama. And we're gonna say Rami Bar Chama's question, and we're gonna say that this brayso that we just finished is gonna be proof to Rami Bar Chama's issue. What did Rami Bar Chama do? The boy Rami Bar Chama asked the question. If somebody said, somebody said that this, like a neder, made a neder. He said that this bread, whatever, kikarzu, is going to be asr like the zevach shlamim, like the meat of a korban shlamim. What's the question? Is the meat of a korban shlamim mutter or asr?
Shlamim?
Yeah.
Mutter.
Right. So the Gemara says that it depends when. The Zrikas Adam makes that as mutter. Before that, the korban shlamim is kodesh. After the Zrikas Adam, then it makes it mutter to eat. Of course, it's a korban. You can't eat it like chulin. It's a korban, but it's mutter to eat as a korban. So, is it something which is asr? It means we know you have to always be matfish with over asr. You have to say this is asr. This piece of bread, this cup of water is asr like a korban. So, but the korban shlamim is mutter after Zrikas Adam. So when you said that this is like V'sar Zevach Shlamim, Mahu, what was Rami Bar Chama's question? Ki mitzvah sinish v'ikra mitzvahs or dilma mitzanana mitzvahs. When a person seizes onto something, he says this is like V'sar Zevach Shlamim. Does it mean like it was originally, or mitzanana? So the Mefarshim say mitzanana means after it cools down. Like the mashal will be something which is hot, and you leave it standing, it cools off. So the korban shlamim, this V'sar Zevach Shlamim was hot meaning that it was aser. And then, but afterwards it cooled off because after the Zrikas Adam, the Kedusha went off, the Isser went off, and the Smutter. So when a person says, this is like V'sar Zevach Shlamim, does he mean to say the way it is when it's hot, or the way it is when it cooled down?
Where's the word hot?
It doesn't say hot. It says Tzanana is cold.
Right.
And Ikra mitzvah means how it was originally. And understand that originally means that it was hot. Of course, the cold and hot is only a mashal. It means that when it was in its intensity, and then later on that intensity went off. So what is that was Rami Bar Chama.
Intensity would mean usr.
Right, the Isser, right.
Off means that
And it cooled off, right? The Isser cooled off. So by Shlamim, the way it cools off is because you lose Rikas Adam. That's what makes it become, it changes status. The original status or the later status? The original status that it was Usr, or the later status that it became Mutter. This was Rami Bar Chama's question. When someone said, just to highlight that, if somebody said, Arei Alai, Kibsar Zevach Shlamim, and Hilchas Nedam, nothing to do with Nazir. By Nedam, somebody asked something like the meat of a korban shlamim. What is it? Do you say when a person is mitfis what it was originally, and originally it was asa, the korban shlamim was asa to have an from? So yes.
So they want to make it asa.
Then he made it asa. He said this bread is going to be like the korban shlamim. He had a piece of bread or a cup of water, and he said, "Arei Alai Kibsar Zevach Shlamim." If he would have said Arei Alai,
so then he might mean that
in its original state. If he meant like its original state, he made it less like a korban. That's a very konim alai. I'm making it like a korban. I realize kibasar ola. Or do you say it's another mitzvah that he's seizing onto it what it was at the end? At the end, it cooled off. The korban basar zevach shlamim is mutter to eat, and therefore, when he said it's going to be like basar zevach shlamim, so go ahead, eat it. He didn't do it. He didn't say anything. He didn't say that it's like.
What's he doing?
What does he mean to do?
Why would that be something someone would say?
He might have. Okay, so
like for sure, I'm going to eat it. Or I'm going to eat it with full gusto,
maybe,
like a korban.
It may be the Gemara is going to say that maybe he meant to say that it's asa, but it's not. Like he might have wanted to, but if he made a mistake in his terminology, he didn't do the formula that's going to make it asa. He thought that it's asa, and it's not. It's mutter. But we're only going to make it asa if it's really asa. If he thought it's asa and it's not really asa, he thought it's a way that you can make something in there. You can make it the konam. You can make it also like the b'sar zevach shlamim after it's zrika. If he would have said beferish b'sar zevach shlamim achas zrika, even if he meant that it's thought that it's going to make it asa, it doesn't, because b'sar zevach shlamim after the zrika is not asa. So we just want to know, what does he mean to say when he says it's like that? Does he mean it's original hot state, or after it cools off?
If you wanted to really be you want to be a Nazir, right?
No, he wanted to answer the cup of water.
Okay, let's just say he wanted to ask a cup of water. Why would he say shlamim? Let him say a chatas, which he can't.
Okay, we go through all these masechtas. They have all kinds of cases. We have to know what is it in.
He's choosing a suffix kind of.
No, he thought that. So he
wanted to eat in the Tahara in Yerushalayim.
What is that?
He only would eat it in the Tahara in Yerushalayim.
But he can't make up his own, he can't make up his
Yeah.
own issue. I think that it has to be either, I mean, maybe that's what he meant to say, but it
That's what he
doesn't take
meant, that's
effect.
what he meant.
He meant to say something, but it doesn't help. It means
Yeah.
it doesn't take effect. Someone wrote a contract and he made a mistake in the wording, it doesn't take effect. So the lawyer tells him it's not a valid contract. He said, I meant to make a contract, but you didn't. Like, it's like, it's always like that. Yeah, the technicalities, so he meant to, he thought that it's us, but
So
it's
we're
not.
not talking about what he meant. We're talking about, do those words mean something?
Wait, what do the words mean? What do the
What do
words
the
mean?
words mean?
No, if he meant the end,
If he meant, I want to
When it's
drink
pulled
this, I
off.
want to drink this like a Corbin. I want to eat this.
he said,
eat gar
we
like
have
a
to see
Corbin.
what the words mean. If the words mean the b'sar zevach shlomim when it's usher, at the time in the original state when it's usher, so then the thing that he said that this piece of bread should be like that, it's going to be usher. If he says like the b'sar zevach shlomim
At the end.
when it's cold
after
already, when
zrika.
it's mutter after the zrika, so then it's mutter.
Then-
Why he said it and all that, like that'll be like
Okay.
in the psychology class. What did he mean? What did he want? But like the mice, what did he say? So we have to decide what did he mean to say and the words that he said, not why he said it. Like that, we're not going to go. But he had to say something which would have been usher. It has to be that he said a korban usher, and the korban shlomim after the zrika is mutter. So that wouldn't have made it usher. That was Rami Rechama's question. When a person said that way, like b'sar zevach shlomim, what does he mean to say? Does he mean to say it's an original state before the zrika when it's usher? Or does he mean in the later state after it cooled down, after the zrika and after the kedusha wano? That was Rami Rechama's question. Good
So
so
I'm
far.
just getting a little medactic on the word mean to say. I thought what you're saying is he means to say he wants to us or something. That's what he means.
That doesn't.
But what
that's
do the
not-
words say?
What do the words mean? No,
What do the
again,
words
like,
mean? Not what he means to say. What do the words mean?
different. I'm not saying. I'm also not saying it. Well, that he
You're saying
said.
now that he always wanted to us or something.
Why was the motivation? Is not our interest. What his
Okay.
motivation was. But when he says these words, does he mean the b'sar zevach shlomim?
Do the words
before?
mean, not what he means.
You could say
That's the
the
problem.
words are what the words mean, what the person means. But the person, I'm not going about his motivation, what he mean, why he wants to do this. I'm not going into his psychological motivation, why he wants to do this. But what did he mean in the words that he said? Did he mean the b'sar zevach shlomim in the original state, or the b'sar zevach shlomim in the later state?
And in the later state, if that's what he meant, he didn't
Right.
do anything.
And even though he thought he's doing something, he did.
He didn't, okay.
And the Gemara thinks, Mazutra, Reder of Mori, thinks that from what we just finished talking about, it'll be an answer to Rami Rechama's question. We just finished Rami Rechama's question.
Uh-huh.
And Mazutra said, this, what we just finished talking about, scrolling back, this
The Bryson.
is a proof to Rami Rechama's question. Can we figure out how this would be a proof to Rami Rechama's question? A woman said, I'm a Nazir, the first woman, and somebody heard that and said, me too. And then the husband of the first one nullified his wife's neder.
From now on.
The second one is,
She's
and the Gemara
mutter.
says that she's mutter because the husband nullified it. But the second one is usher, period.
Because it's only from now
And
on.
it was only from now on.
Nigas guys.
And at the time that she said Vani, the first woman was Tamtan Nazir. So therefore, the second one's Nazirus takes effect. That's the Brisa. And Rav Mori thinks that from here we can bring a proof to Rami Rechama's question.
And we're supposed to know it by now.
Right. And the Gemara just goes on now to say why it's not similar. Like me dummy, it's not similar.
Uh-huh.
But we're supposed to think that it's similar so far.
Nigas guys. From now on.
So what the Mepharshim explained is that this woman was hot and cold. The first woman, it was a hot and a cold.
She was hot and cold.
Even
The
to make, we're gonna
second one
make
was
his
always-
guys. We're gonna make his guys. That the husband nullified it from here on.
So
in.
she was hot and cold.
She was hot, and then she became. If you hold Makor or whatever, then she was always cold.
Always.
But
Right.
now we're saying Megan's guy, she was hot and then she became cold. What was that? First she was a Nazir, then she became Ois Nazir, no Nazir, right? And the friend said, I'm Bani, I'm me too. What does me too mean?
I'm gonna be just like she's hot, I'm hot.
Maybe just like she's cold, I'm cold. It's
No,
true.
but
At
it
the,
says that she's gonna be usher, which means she was always hot.
she was hot, and then she became cold.
No, just
I'm,
her friend.
I'm telling you the facts. The facts are that the first one.
Well, the first one became cold.
So now the second one said, "I'm Vani." At the time that she was hot, I hope it's okay using the word hot and cold.
Yeah,
Hot
but she
means that
said,
she's a
she
Nazir.
said, when she said I, that she meant, that was when her friend was hot.
Right,
So
but
she's hot.
but
But
maybe,
she can't-
but
that's
maybe
what
she
not
meant to
always.
say, maybe she meant to say, I am like me too, the way you are gonna be, well, even if you,
But she
if you
couldn't mean
become
that
cold.
because it says us.
Yeah,
So
so being a raya,
I'm bringing a raya.
that what? That when there's
That we
something
say-
hot that becomes cold, and you're matfis in that thing, like a korban shlomim that has before the zrika and after the zrika, you mean in the hot stage, you don't mean in the cold stage.
I see. You mean in the hot stage. So
Okay,
that's why he meant us.
so now what's going with the shlomim?
So being a
So
raya
the
from here,
shluchim-
being a
that
raya from this case, that
the-
even though it became cold, becomes cold, and the kedusha goes off by doing the zrika, but when you said this cup of water is like that,
like
or
a
korban
bus-
shlomim,
or
that
it's-
means in the hot stage, not in
in
the
the
cold,
hot
not
stage.
not that when it
I
goes
see.
off.
And now we're.
Let's see that inside. Top line, Mazutra Veder of Mariamar, hi, this case that we just finished talking about, is not negated to us. We finished our again. We can put it in parentheses also. Let's put in parentheses just to show that it's not relevant to the sugi that we just did. We just finished talking about Me'aka, Akar, or Megas guys. So we accepted already. Megas guys that the husband nullified his wife's neder mikana lava. She wasn't a zira, and now he made her not to be a zira anymore. Somebody said Vani. Does she mean in the stage when she's still hot, or she means when she's going to become cold? So Masutra Beit Rav said, "Hi, this Raisa that we just learned, I know the Rami B'chama. It's a proof that the issue of Rami, it's Rami B'chama's case, because Rami B'chama asked if somebody said a real like a Basaz Evach Shlomo, he wanted to answer something the way meat of a korban shlomo mahu, and what was his question? Ki mitzvah sinish beikar ikra mitzvahs or dilma but not a mitzvahs. When a person is seizing something, putting something, making a piece of bread like this, does he mean like this in the original state, or like this after it cools down? So that's a raya.
That's a raya that it made ikara.
Right. That we have a right from the brisa that the person meant to be matfis in the thing that it was originally, like the woman who was first a Nazira and then she became no Nazira. We can't love her, but she meant to say, I'm like the woman, my friend, in the state that she was. So that's what Mazutra Vedra Mori thought. That it's a right from here to Rami B'chama's question. And the Gemara is going to reject it. It's not comparable. Me dummy, it's not a comparison. Hasam, Chibin the Amar, Harei Alai, Kibasar Zevach Shlamim, Afagav de Lachash and Izrak Damo, Matzi Yachalei, Bachutz, Mikdish Kaddish. Aval Hacha, Isak Daitach, it's not a commitvis, Hahefil Abaila, period. Inside,
I'm sorry, Hassan.
it's not comparable. Over there, by the case of the Korban Shlomim, when he said this is going to be like the meat of a Korban Shlomim, he might have meant even in the cold stage. As we spoke out before we got here,
Yeah.
that after the Zrika, it is mutter to eat as a Korban, but it's still a Korban. Even though you are allowed to eat it, bachutz, what does it mean bachutz?
In Yerushalayim.
In Yerushalayim. I don't know why they're more stressing that, but what?
Out of the basement.
Yeah, before that you can't eat it in the base mikdash either. So I'm not sure why they're more stressing the bachutz, even though you're allowed to eat it. But mikdash kaddish, it is holy. It's holy meat. So therefore, when the person said that I'm making this like that, we can understand what he meant to say. Now we're going into what did he mean to say? We had the question: does he mean to say like it was, or does he mean to say like it's going to be? So we have a two stud in what he meant. He might have meant, this is really what Chaim David was asking, maybe Lev Yaakov, that what did he mean to say? His motivation was surely to aser piece of bread and to say it's like that. And he might have thought that the Sar Zevach Shlomim after this Rika is also accomplishing something. It's also making it aser. It's not making it aser like before this Rika, but it's making it at least aser like after this Rika. So he thought he's doing something. He might have meant that. If he meant that, we tell him, even though you meant to make it aser, it doesn't become aser because Sar Zevach Shlomim after this Rika is not aser. So you meant to answer it, but like the marshal of the contract, you know, the contract, there's something that invalidates, it, you didn't do
You
it.
can
So,
use us, or like it had to be, he doesn't live in Jerusalem, and now it's gonna be us, or he'd only be able to eat in Jerusalem.
and really,
It has to be
that doesn't work,
Torah.
and that doesn't work. You can't make something with the condition that it should be like the eat in Yerushalayim only, that's not what a nether is. Either you make it usher, like a korban, it's usher, or not. You can't make your own laws. You want to make your own thing, so make up your own thing. But to say it's like that, it doesn't happen.
Uh-huh.
So there are two studim. Rabbi Bechama said, I have two studim what the person meant. Did he mean like the korban shlomim before the zrika, and then the net is going to take effect? Or did he mean the korban shlomim after the zrika? And he thought that he's saying something, and really he's not, because it's not us. So therefore, Rabbi Bechama had two valid choices. Aval Hacha, what did the woman mean to say? Like, I'm going to be like you. When she made herself a Nazira, I'm going to be like you as a Nazira, or I'm going to be like you after your husband nullifies it. What did she mean to say? If she meant to seize herself onto her friend when she's going to be cooled off, which means after the husband's going to nullify it, the husband nullified it. So what's she saying? I'm going to be like you. I'm going to be like you. What? She's not a Nazira. After the husband, she didn't say anything then. So here, she surely meant to say, I'm like you in the present state, not how you're going to be after the husband nullifies it. So it's not a proof to Rami Bechama's question. Again, Rami Bechama's question was when a person said, does he mean in the hot stage or in the cold stage? And the Gemara thought it had a raya from the case of the woman who says, I'm going to be like you, my neighbor, as a Nazira. And over there is also a hot stage and a cold stage because the husband nullified her Nazirus, and at the end it was a cold stage. She wasn't a Nazira at all. And over there it says the neighbor is a Nazira because she was mitfis in the hot stage of her friend when she was a Nazira. Isn't that a proof that when a person says, I'm like you, this is like this? So he means in the hot stage, the Gemara's match, it's not a proof because we're only going to say there's a tzad that she meant in the cold stage if the cold stage is also a bit warm. That's the way to say it. That even after it cools off, it's still a bit warm. So the person.
What you mean for the
But it's right. But asaz evach shlomim, even when it cools off, it's also still holy a bit. It has holiness. And the man thought that that's enough holiness that I could seize on and make a nether on.
He may
also.
have really meant the cold stage.
Right.
Even though with the
Because it's a
woman,
bit
there's
warm.
no cold stage.
And the woman, it's a cold stage, it's completely cold. So what is he saying? I'm going to be like the woman who's not a Nazira. She didn't say
They're
anything.
not comparable.
Right.
Okay.
And all this is not irrelevant to us. We just wanted to know make Akar or make his Gaius, and we proved our point. But we must want to know if you say make his Gaius, there's still a proof to Rami Bechama's question. And the Gemara says it's not a proof. That it could be even over here by the woman, she is going on the hot stage. When she says I'm like you, she means in the hot stage, not after you cool off. But in case of the besides Shlomim, it might be that he is hooking on to the cold stage because it's also a bit warm still.
In terms of Megas Gaius, it means that it's more emphatic in terms how do we translate it into the case?
Make his Gaius means that it gets cut off from now on, not retroactively.
Only from this moment in fact.
Right.
That's the whole idea of Megas Gaius.
That's the pshat we're going with. There are other pshat. You get the Amri, one more line. I know the Rami Bachama Vadai. Others didn't have this whole midami. Others thought others have a version that it stays. Remember that the comparison is a good comparison, and just like in the case of the woman, they don't say this teretz.
It's exactly
that it is a good case. It is a good comparison. In the same way we said over here that the person goes in the hot stage, not in the cold stage. So too, but besides Shlomim, you go in the hot stage, you didn't mean the cold stage. And if someone says a red like besides Shlomim, it really is Asa. It's a way of saying in before the Zrika, and it is going to be Asa. That's as far as I got. Okay, almost. I didn't realize that. I thought I'd finished a long time ago.
Okay.
But so that's the end of the sugya. I mean, maybe there's more coming up tomorrow that I didn't get yet. But it's so amazing because the fact that everybody knows that first of them only goes Mikan Alabba is this Nazir of 22. This is where it is, and it's two brises that the Gemara brought down in Amar Aleph that each one says Me'ekara and one says Mikan Alabba. And it doesn't seem to be so simple. And even if the last Gemara might be the halacha because it says Tanya Behedia, but there's machlokes Tanam about it. It's not so simple. The simple yes is that the Torah Sodom has to be with a reasoning. You have to come to the Chacham and say why I didn't mean it. And by Torah Sodom, there's no reasoning. The husband that says I don't want, Batal of
Right,
Hufa.
yesterday and the day before, we said it was bottle in the car, that was the basic learning.
Right, and
how
that
we
few
learned
tests,
in the
that few
last
tests, we
couple of
brought this, we brought the first raya. It didn't bring to rise, it just brought this, it brought all this.
That's in blue there.
Right, all this
Which
one,
is what?
and that
What
few
is the
tests, we
blue?
brought, this whole thing is from that few tests. Over there,
Go up to retro.
retroactively, and that's against what everybody knows, that a forest Adorim is only Mikana Labba. That Gemara and that few tests, and this Gemara here, the same Gemara says that it goes retroactively. Everybody knows that it only goes Mikana Labba. The last Gemara says it goes Mikana Labba, Megas guys, only
What do
Mikana
we
Labba.
hold?
And we know, everybody knows that we hold that as Megas guys, but I'm not sure anymore why.
Did you look up?
I'm not sure anymore why.
Biggest guy
why we
means
think
from
so.
now on.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
now,
halacha, basically.
so now, not
Did you look up,
retroactively.
Hilchas Nadorim and Rambam.
Yes, the Rambam is very, the Rambam,
Isn't that what it's quoting here? It's Hilchas.
yeah, but the Rambam has a whole different shot in the whole thing. He doesn't hold Meikor, he is very different shot in the whole, everything we learned about. Meikor, Meikor, make his guys,
He
he
doesn't
doesn't
bring
learn.
these and.
He doesn't, he talks about it, but he's learning it very differently. He's not learning the way we're learning, that the question is retroactively or Mikana Labba. He says, different shot. We're futter, I mean,
So
we're learning one
in
shot.
other words, he doesn't give any.
He does say that it
Like
goes,
with
he says it goes,
base.
he says it goes retroactively. He does say it goes retroactively. He learns the
And
more
therefore,
because-
more
He
like-
says it goes retroactively,
Which is like,
but we don't pass him like him. So-
I don't know who he is. I don't know
we go
anymore.
make his guys. That would be our, similar to our make his
And our
guys.
Gemara says, the Rambam, no, the Rambam says that it goes,
Retroactively means it, from the
Yeah.
beginning it gets cut off.
Oh,
Like his guys means from now on.
what did I say, the Rambam? The Rambam is in the Domain.
Rambam, I think it says here, Perik Yud Gimel, Mehelach and Nedorim.
So let's put it on for
And
fun.
what
We
does
have
it mean?
5 minutes.
Tesvav.
Let's put it on a second.
Hilchas Tesvav. 15.
What am I
Halacha
doing here? Wrong one. I'm
Halacha
sorry.
Tesvav.
What are we doing, Rambam? Thank you. And if you find out where we know this from, everybody knows that at first dorm is Mikan Lava, please.
Right here, it's got the ownership.
The
He
dorm
says
in
it's
Parak what?
13,
Parak 13,
13, and it's Halacha
Okay.
15. Tesvav.
15?
That's what it was here. It's in right.
Here it just says the halacha that the neighbor
Is going to be
is
chayiv.
chayiv. It's still right. Still that means when our Gemara says that means make his guys. And our Gemara means and our Gemara is
I
true.
thought it was
But
gonna s-
yes, but look earlier in the Rambam.
Yeah. Oh, you mean maybe it has it didn't have a Rambam.
Yeah, look at this Rambam. Look at that.
What's going on here?
It's talking about a forest of Durham.
Yeah,
It starts in the beginning of the parak that a person could either nullify or affirm the word, the nether of his wife or his daughter, etc. How do you do that? It says mufer batal ein zaneder ein klum. Okay. Then he says ein ha'av v'abal matir kemo ha'chacham ela oker haneder mitchilasa u'mefima. What do those words mean? That a husband, a father and a husband don't permit like a chacham does, like a Torah Nedarim, but rather, what does the father and husband do? They uproot the neder from its beginning, Meikah, and he nullifies it. Here it says, the Rambam says, if you want a Rambam, the Rambam says that it does go retroactively.
well, what does it mean? It's not like the Chacham.
So as we start at the Chacham, everyone looks at the Rambam, like, what are you talking about? The
also
Chacham does
the
it,
same
does it
thing.
retroactively.
So
So-
like the Chacham.
Right. So what the Rambam is a different world. The Rambam learns the Gemara very, very differently than we did. And the whole
I
thing
see.
about Meikora and Megas guys, he learns differently. So we can't bring the Rambam.
Okay.
Or else we have to learn the Gemara all over again for a couple of pages.
Wow.
But I'm very surprised that it's not so simple that the husband and the father do it from now on. It could be
And
that
the
they
Torah
do it
Shulchan Aruch,
retroactively.
what is the Torah Shulchan?
It just says like you see about Tesvav. This halacha is going to bring down that second, the neighbor is yes going to be fine.
or the smog, here it says smog.
Megas Gaius. I just
Lavin,
a second.
it's the a lav of
I
two
did see
hundred
the
and
Shulchan Aruch.
42. Or Shulchan Aruch Yud
Yeridea. Yeah, what else does it say?
Oh, Yoredea,
Yeah.
Simon or whatever it is, 234.
Yeah,
Reish
Yeridea.
Lamed Dalet,
Yeah, 234.
Sif Nun
Mhm.
Aleph on the base, or Sif Nun
234. 234.
234, 51.
51. That's a big sum. 51. 51. Here it says the opposite. Here it says She'ena Bal Va'okin Ledemei Koro Kamo Chacham. Here it says the opposite of Rambam. That the husband and the father don't uproot it retroactively like the Chacham does. Opposite of the Rambam.
But from now on.
And here it's coming down the halacha that Rambam also agrees to. Here, this halacha just says that if there was a neighbor that said that I'm like you, so the husband uprooted the wife, so the other one is still usher. And here the Shulchan Aruch explains like we learned the Gemara, because he goes make his guys. It goes from now on. So it is true that the Gemara says make his guys, and that's what the Shulchan Aruch used to paskin. The Bryce before the Gemara put a proof that that's make. So it's a confusing Gemara. And this famous thing is not so simple.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so yesterday I said everyone should sleep well. I hope everybody slept well, but it was unjustified to sleep well.
And now for sure we shouldn't sleep. Now that we know the halakha, for sure we shouldn't sleep.
Well, I know.